guys, welcome back. So last time what we saw was JSON. We got to know what JSON is, JSON क्या करता है, किस चीज के लिए है, what it is and everything, right? Then we got to know what deserialization and serialization mean. Serialization is basically data, native data type object से string में convert हो रहे, and deserialization is string से वापस native objects में convert हो रहे. Deserialization is done when you are receiving the data, and serialization is for when you want to send the data. ठीक है? And then we created this app, एक e-commerce का fake store API use करके we queried this data, we parsed it, right? यहाँ पे we parsed it and then we added all of this data to this particular widget. ठीक है? But in doing so, we actually used map string dynamic objects. जिसमें string is the key and dynamic since it does not know what the value is going to be, because of which actually यहाँ पे we don't get any kind of autocorrect या any kind of IDE support. ठीक है? So there is a very high chance of error here. So for this we should always try to parse it to native data instances like string, int, boolean, classes, and then use it because वो फिर अपने को ज़्यादा अच्छा experience देगा. ठीक है? At the same time, it will also help you reduce errors and mistakes that is easily avoidable. ठीक है? So for that, what we'll do is we'll actually create a model class. ठीक है? Or what model class is? Model class is nothing but a class which has this same data in it. ठीक है? Variables में store होएगा. And then we'll parse this particular JSON into that instances of those classes. ठीक है? So how we'll do is simply we'll create a class first. ठीक है? So let us name the class as product. ठीक है? So product class product, camel casing rule follow करो, product का P capital. ठीक है? And then we have image description title and price था. प्राइस आई डोंट थिंक स्ट्रिंग में आ रहा है. लेट्स चेक प्राइस किस में आ रहा है. फिक्स स्टोर एपीआई, गेट दिस हियर, प्रोडक्ट. इसको अगर we just copy this, paste, price is a number, right? So num price. ठीक है? And apart from this, what we had is rating था, which is again another object. ठीक है? So what we'll do is, फिलहाल के लिए what we can simply do is final string rating में this is a number, both of them are number. ठीक है? तो rating this is a number, तो इसको भी num कर दो and final count. ठीक है? Now all of this is throwing an error because mainly मैंने बोला है कि all of them are going to be string या num. ठीक है? These are not nullable fields. ठीक है? These are mandatory fields. तो basically ID बोल रहा है, rather डार्ट ही यहाँ पे बोल रहा है कि यार तुम लोग ने इसको मैंडेटरी बोला है तो इसको कहीं तो इनिशियलाइज कर. ठीक है? तो all of them will get initialized in the constructor. ठीक है? एंड लास्ट में एक कॉमा डाल के सेव करूँ तो इट विल ऑटोमेटिकली फॉर्मेट. ठीक है? फॉर्मेटिंग रखो. फॉर्मेटिंग इज अ वेरी गुड थिंग. इट विल मेक योर कोड रीडेबल अ लॉट. ठीक है? सो now what I'll do is I need to convert this somehow, right? So usually इसके लिए क्या करते हैं, इसके लिए we add something called as a factory constructor, ठीक है, which is nothing but a named constructor, ठीक है, जिसमें from JSON dynamic value, or rather I should name it as JSON value, ठीक है, and return product, sorry, product, yeah. Okay. Now I know कि JSON value में से image is the string, JSON value title, sorry, title, then we have JSON value of description, JSON value of price, JSON value of rating, तो directly नहीं हो सकता, तो rating is rating, and then we have rate, if I'm not wrong, yeah, and same for this is count, okay. So once the JSON value comes here, okay, we pick up all those values and we put it in this particular class, एक instance बनता है इसका, and then we'll use that instance, right? So here what I'll do is, instead of a map now, I'll use product, ठीक है. Now as soon as I did this, यहाँ पे सब जगह पे error आ रहा है, ठीक है, because obviously it is no longer a map. तो वो बोल रहा है कि अरे you cannot just query it with square brackets, not allowed. Bye. देख ठीक से तो कुछ तो कर. So what we need to change here is, now we need to actually use them as variables, ठीक है. These are now attributes inside this particular instance, so there is no scope for error anymore actually. So title, similarly price के लिए I'll use price. You notice कि मैं actually अभी पूरा टाइप नहीं कर रहा हूँ. It is actually giving me autocorrect and autocomplete rather, and I'm just simply choosing that particular option from the dialog box. So this is the main advantage of parsing into classes and instances, because your IDE can help you out in doing a much better code, okay. Now obviously यहाँ पे we cannot just parse this. If I do this, it will actually throw an error. Let's try it out, दिखाता हूँ आपको, right? So now if I just run this, so it is basically saying कि map string dynamic is not a subtype of product. Now क्यों? क्योंकि ये product जो अभी send हो रहा है, this has to be a product, an instance of a class product, ठीक है. Whereas what we are sending is basically this array के अंदर जो भी जा रहा है वो चीज, right? And that is not a instance of product, it is actually an instance of map, right? So ये केस में what we need is, we need actually instances of products to go inside this, ठीक है. As soon as I do this, यहाँ पे I'll need to change now, because this gives me a list of dynamic, and error अभी यहाँ से तो हट जाएगा, but यहाँ पे अभी error दिखाएगा. See, अभी डेटा इधर कुछ भी नहीं आ रहा है. क्यों? क्योंकि एरर यहाँ पे ही आ गया. एट दिस पॉइंट इटसेल्फ यहाँ पे एरर आ गया, राइट? एंड सिंस यहाँ पे एरर आ गया, सेट स्टेट तो पूरा खत्म हुआ ही नहीं. सेट स्टेट खत्म नहीं हुआ तो यहाँ पे यूआई रीरेंडर हुआ ही नहीं, बिकॉज दिस लिस्ट इज एम्प्टी राइट नाउ, नथिंग वेंट इनसाइड इट. सो फॉर दैट वी व्हाट वी नीड टू डू इज, वी नीड टू एक्चुअली कन्वर्ट दिस, ये जो भी आ रहा है इसको आइट्रेट करके we have to convert it into instances of product, ठीक है. So what we do is, so now we know this is actually as list dot, rather I can just simply for each and यहाँ पे product dot from JSON element products dot add, is basically saying कि normal में convert कर दे तो कर दे, and then यहाँ पे I'll simply keep it as a blank set state. Now why this set state here, even though it is blank, it is extremely important. क्यों? क्योंकि वैल्यू यहाँ पे चेंज हो चुका है, ठीक है? यहाँ पे एक बार वैल्यू बदल गया, उसके बाद we need some way to actually intimate the UI कि यार values change हुए, re-render the UI. So even though this set state is blank, this will actually check for all the values that are used inside this UI, and it sees कि हाँ products का list change हुआ है, तो I need to re-render it, ठीक है? So this blank set state is not for time pass के लिए नहीं है, उसमें it actually does the job. If we try it out right now, see यहाँ पे डेटा आया, UI re-render हुआ, but if we just remove this and rerun, see कुछ नहीं आने वाला यहाँ पे, ठीक है? So even though this is blank, this actually does a very important job right now. So if you feel कि यार ये blank बहुत irritating लग रहा है या फिर very high chance of getting removed, so simply put that for loop inside this for now, चलेगा, ठीक है? Now this यहाँ पे पूरा डेटा आ गया, right? And we have this entire class which is properly made into variables. It has its own attributes, and this is being used inside here. The scope of error, the scope of writing a wrong spelling mistake, rather a wrong spelling, is extremely less, in fact nil right now, because if I do something like this, it's not going to run at all. Like मैं run करने के time पे भी वो मुझे error दे देगा, ठीक है? So right now I know कि this is something, कुछ तो गड़बड़ है, run time में issue नहीं आने वाला, this is a compile time issue itself. Compile time issues are fine, run time issues are a headache, ठीक है? तो we do this and we have strongly parsed all the JSON values now into instances, and we're using it as instances. But now the thing is, अभी यहाँ पे from JSON है, वैसे ही कभी तुम लोग को डेटा सेंड करना है तो you will have to make two JSON, जहाँ पे ये पूरा चीज का उल्टा करना पड़ेगा तुम लोग को, ठीक है? तो it would be image यहाँ पे कुछ नहीं आएगा, this dot in, or rather I can directly use image. This is not going to be a factory, this is simply going to be dynamic. description, then we have title. So since these are all retrieved from key pairs, तो जरूरत नहीं है कि ये सेम लाइन में लिखवा, you can actually write it anyhow, doesn't matter, fine. It can fetch in any format, that's not an issue at all. Then we have price. अरे यार, प्राइस अभी रेटिंग के केस में आर, दिस वाज रेटिंग, रेट जिसमें रेटिंग जा रहा था एंड काउंट जिसमें काउंट जा रहा था. Ideally what I should actually do is even this rating जो है this should be a different class. Like for example what I should do is make a different class rating final num rate and final num count. Create constructor for this and same thing repeat होएगा. And I should use this inside here. Final rating and these two import and यहाँ पे what I should rather do is dot from JSON. यहाँ पे भी actually rating dot to JSON आएगा. फिलहाल के लिए मैं इसको ignore मार रहा हूँ. Simply comment this out for now and I'll have to make changes here. See, as soon as the model changed automatically तुम लोग को यहाँ पे भी वो दिखा रहा है कि अरे इसमें changes हुआ है. So the scope of missing out things is very less here, but है. Like for example ये केस में देखो ultimately this does not know कि rating में क्या आने वाला है, right? Rating is a class, it has its to string, वो instance of rating करके दिखाएगा, right? So it does not know whether that data makes sense or not. Again code है यार, जादू टोना थोड़ी है, right? तो यहाँ पे the onus lies upon us, but if it does not exist so IDE will surely let you know, right? तो ऐसा नहीं है कि the scope of error is fully nil, but it has reduced very much. But now you notice कि ये जो part है, ठीक है, this has to be done for every model, and if your model has a nested model उसके लिए भी करना पड़ेगा. As soon as the nesting increases every time वो अंदर एक एक करते बैठना पड़ेगा, which becomes a very big headache, ठीक है. तो for this most of the time in production apps we don't do this manually, ठीक है. Instead we use some dependencies like JSON serializable or Dart JSON mapper, ठीक है, both of which we'll look at in the next video. Sayonara, bye.